Hey everyone, it's Brandy and welcome back to my channel, Brandy Janae's Bookshelf. Today I'm here to do the third and final part of my Throne of Glass wrap up, which I have mentioned in the previous two videos of this little mini series now, that this is going to be a review slash discussion for Kingdom of Ash by Sarah J Maas, which is the seventh and final book in the Throne of Glass series. So I'm coming to you after another day of distractions. This time it wasn't because of an audiobook. When I came home, for some weird reason, I was like, let's play The Sims. I don't know why I had that idea in my head. Usually I save that for like Fridays when I get home because I don't have to work that night. But for some odd reason, I was just like, yeah, you're 2 days into your work week. Play The Sims when you still have to go to work tonight. So I just wasted like 3 hours playing The Sims for no reason. I'm not really sure what's been going on with me today. I guess the end of the month has just been dragging along. I have been feeling really lazy, but I do want to get this done because I don't want to drag this out super long, or I don't want to drag this out any longer than I already have. So like I mentioned, this is for Kingdom of Ash by Sarah J Maas. Before I get into this review, I do want to say that I started this book like towards the end of December and I didn't finish. I finished it about a month ago. So if I don't get into all of the details, excuse me for that, because I probably don't remember at this point because this book was so long, if you didn't already know, which I'm sure you do because everyone has talked about how long this book is. So let's jump into, I guess, my thoughts, kind of starting. I'm not gonna go like scene by scene because honestly I don't remember every little detail about each character and what they go through. Going back to the end of Tower of Dawn, we get some information in Tower of Dawn about what's going on with these key players that are, you know, are setting up for this war. Also, why I really brought up Tower of Dawn was because at the end of it, it was like basically like a little epilogue. I think it was like 2 pages, and it did a catch up just in case you forgot. Aelin had been captured by Maeve. She had been placed in this box and, you know, she was taken away. No one knows where she is, or none of her people that she was with knows where she is once she's been taken. So at the beginning of this book, we get basically, I guess, like a little prologue, kind of like what I was talking about in Empire of Storms, but this one is split up into 2 sections basically. So it says the prince and the princess. So the prince, you could kind of guess that is Rowan, and it's pretty much giving you a quick glimpse into what's going on with him, and basically he's trying to find Aelin. He's kind of freaking out because he had just found out that that's his mate, and he's just like, what the heck am I supposed to do? She's gone. So he's out searching for her. On Aelin's end, she is in this iron box that she was put into at the end of Empire Storms, and basically she is trying to like survive and not give up while she's locked inside of this iron box, and she really can't do anything for herself because this box is like blocking her powers. That's pretty much how we get into the story, and like I said, I'm not gonna go into all of the gritty details. So for a good portion of this book, I would say maybe about half to 75% of the book, we have 3 major points that we're following. So we have Aedion, and he has made his way back to Terrasen, and he has Lysandra with him pretending to be Aelin. And, you know, we have a factor of all of these armies that Aelin has gathered going to their aid, and them trying to figure out what they're going to do and trying to fight back against these people who have either been taken over by the Val King or have just voluntarily given up their services for whatever reason. So we have them dealing, like I said, we have Aedion, Lysandra, and everyone that would be in Terrasen dealing with that situation. Then we have Rowan, or I guess it's really 4 major points, or kind of even like it starts off I think as 4 major points, and then some of them start to split off as usual with these with this series. Then we have Rowan, like I said, he's searching for Aelin. He has Gabriel, and he also has Lorcan with him, and Elide is with them as well. And they're going around trying to search for Aelin. Then we also have a branch off into Manon and Dorian. Manon has been sent off, or she has said that she pretty much has a mission to go and try to gather the Crocian witches to convince them to join the fight, the war that is about to take place. And then we also have Aelin, who is, like I said, being held hostage by Maeve in this iron box. We also have Fenris with her as well. I'm sure you're already aware of this if you're watching this, but Fenris is there because he was the only one that was not released from his bond with Maeve, because she knows that's like the one thing he wants the most. So she's just like, yeah, no. So those are our 4 major point at the beginning of the story. And like I said, as the story progresses, a lot of things start happening. People start branching off, and there are different events that take place that leads to different things. Basically, I am just gonna go into my overall thoughts. I'm gonna be getting into the things that I talked about in my January wrap up. Hopefully I remember everything. I feel like when I filmed that video, I was a little like it had been a lot sooner to me finishing the book than now. So hopefully I remember everything that I talked about in that video. If not, once again, I'm sorry. You guys can bring up points in the comments that you want to discuss. For this book, I gave it a 3, maybe a 3.5 out of 5 stars, depending on how I'm feeling at the moment. But I think overall I decided to just give it 3 out of 5 stars. One of my biggest issues, which this book was not terrible, but one of my issues that I had with this book was that it was way too long. At points, I almost felt like that the author had so much in this, like so much extra content just so the book could be as long as it was. Don't get me wrong, I really enjoy a long finale if everything that is included is necessary, but I did not feel like everything that was included in here was necessary. I do appreciate some moments. I feel like there were peaks while I was reading, but you know, those low moments in between those peaks were what was causing me to have such a hard time getting through this massive book. After getting into the actual length of the book, I did appreciate the amount of time that it took for Aelin to kind of recover. And I don't want to say recover because I feel like she still has a lot of things and traumas that she needs to work through, but she had been with Maeve for I think a few weeks at least, and you know, she was going through a lot of physical trauma but also mental trauma because Maeve was trying to break her to get her to tell her where the word keys were. And you know, she was starting to have these things where she didn't know what was real, what was not. And the only thing that she could rely on was Fenris, but he was in his wolf form, so they couldn't really talk. I appreciated the process that we got to see with Aelin after she was found and they got away, up until the point where she was like fighting in the war basically. I appreciated that it wasn't an instant thing. Like she didn't just automatically be like, she wasn't automatically fine once she escaped from this camp. Just on the journey alone, from them getting to where Aelin was being held up into them getting to a somewhat safe point, there was a lot of emotions that she had to work through. So as soon as she was released and they actually brought Fenris out, you know, they were ready to kind of just dump his body in and just leave, and she got to the point where she was just like, no. I think that was one of the most emotional parts of this book for me, was after Fenris broke his bond with Maeve by force and he was pretty much about to die, not only from the physical injuries that he had helping her, you know, trying to save her, but also because of him breaking this bond with Maeve. She has him blood bonded to her, and then she demands that he lives. She's just like, you can't die, you're not gonna die, you're gonna get up and you're gonna live. And I was just like I didn't even know what to do, because I feel like that was the strongest connection that she had with anybody since Rowan. I mean, obviously Rowan is her mate, and I'm sure at one point she'll tell him things that happen if she has the ability to open up about those things. But in that moment, Fenris was her rock, and she was just like, I can't go on. I'm not gonna go on if he's not there, because that too I need at this moment. So one of the things that I really appreciated about this series finale compared to her other series finale, A Court of Wings of Ruin, was that she took more risk in this book. However, there's kind of a double-edged sword to that, because I feel like some of the things that she had happen weren't completely necessary. I think one of the big complaints that she had with her other series was a character that was basically killed off, was brought back to life, and then it was just like everything was all fine and everything was perfect. And I feel like as a result of all of the complaints in that series, she decided to kill off so many people in this book. And I was just like, why did all of those people need to die? I'm gonna actually go through all of my ones that I tabbed for somebody dying, and just go through and tell you all the people who died. Mainly, I think it was like the last couple people who died I was really upset with, or really it was like one character in particular, because I was just like, why did that really have to happen? But if you haven't already read this and you're watching this discussion and you don't want to know, I will put a timestamp so you can skip this little section of me talking about this. Okay, so the first one was Fenris's brother, which I mentioned. His name is Connell. The next one that I have marked isn't anyone in particular, but when Arwen sent troops to one of the towns, I think an entire town or something like that ended up getting like wiped off the map with the witch towers. So moving on to the next one, this was another one where there wasn't anyone specific, like anyone, a named character that we knew about. I think a few have been mentioned that were in the area that got hit, but it was another one where people were killed by the witch towers. Actually, I think I might have missed a few at the beginning, but those aren't important. But the next one that I have marked off is when Iskra finally died. I was really happy about that because she was getting on my nerves. I thought she was going to be dead way before this last book, and as you can see, it was like a good chunk of the way through the book, so I was surprised by that one. The next one that I have marked was another one where the witch towers had been used, but there weren't any specific details about who had got killed in that moment either, so that was just another one, another expected one. The next one was Murtaugh, and if you've read the series, hopefully you remember who that is, but he died. I came to expect that. I figured that something might happen to him like as the series progressed, because he was an older character and I feel like there wasn't, like, something bad was going to happen to him. So when he ran off to go defend an open spot, I figured he was going to die. So yeah, that was sad, but I wasn't too surprised by that. The next one, however, was the one that I was kind of pissed about, because I was just like, why did that need to happen? So Gabriel, he got killed off. I was just like, are you fucking kidding me? Excuse my language, but I was pissed. I was just like, actually, I'm gonna see if there's any more deaths before I get into that one. Okay, yeah, so then Arwen was killed off, which is expected. And then Maeve was also killed off, and I believe she was the last one. But anyway, like I was saying, back to Gabriel's death. So we go through this entire series, or not, maybe not the entire series, but from the time that the Fae were introduced, Gabriel was one of the major Fae characters. He was really good at war. I mean, he might not have been as good as Rowan was. However, he was one of the cadre that they were like the best fighters in the world against everyone. Now, I get, when you're surrounded by people, not the same. However, in the situation that he was in, he did not have to die. I get it was probably a shock factor in the fact that it had to be an issue with Aedion, like, kind of dissing his father throughout the entire time that they had physically known each other. But the time when Aedion was finally like opening up about his feelings, like wanting to know who he was, excited that he would get the chance to know who his father really was and get to spend time with him, they killed him off. And I was just like, everyone else was there. Why? Like, there was no, like, I'm sorry. I was really frustrated with this, if you can't tell. I just, like, that was one of my big factors. So, like, one of my big things where I was just like, you mean to tell me that he could not have helped them close up this little gate or whatever they was that would have helped them out, stayed inside while doing that, and not have gotten killed? I don't know. I was really mad. I was just like, why did he need to be killed off? I was just like, Aiden deserved to be happy. He deserves to have the time to be with his father. And no. It's just like his father sacrifices his life for him. Like he couldn't stay alive and actually live with the rest of them. Come on now. If all the rest of them live, but why couldn't he? Anyway, getting back to other things other than being mad about that. I know there were complaints about the battle scenes and how they felt ripped off. I can't speak on that because I don't have any experience with what people are saying that the battle scenes, the wars that reminded them of. I wasn't a fan of the battle scenes like I mentioned in my January wrap up. I did not appreciate how they like flip-flop back and forth between different characters. You know, somebody would be in a battle for their life and then it was like, okay, let's switch perspectives to this next person. I didn't understand what the purpose of that was. I don't know if that was to keep the tension in the story. However, that just made me like, okay, we have another character switch. Like, I really don't care about that. It seemed like at times things were too easy. I feel like I'm always going back and forth with this. There were moments where things weren't perfect, but it's just like everything always fell into place. So besides like Aiden and like I said, the rest of them fighting, there was never really a time where we kind of really worried for our characters. There was a question of, oh, can she really do that, when people were off doing something else? But then it turns out that, hey, she had another plan up her sleeve. Let's bring in these other people to kill off everyone else that I needed to kill off because I couldn't handle these people. You know, it was just things like that. This was something that was happening really pretty much throughout the entire series. We would think the character, or, you know, any of the characters were in this really bad predicament, but then, oh, nope, somebody has a plan. Oh, which also reminds me, I don't know why I'm not seeing it marked. Maybe I just marked it with like a blue, which was my sad tabs. But also the 13, well, I guess it was only the 12 because Manon makes up the 13. But they died as well. I forgot to mention that. That was really sad for me. That one I was not upset about because I felt like it was, I don't want to say I felt like it was necessary, but I understood the choice and the decision to kill them off. I wish all of them did not have to die. And it was especially like sad because all of these witches, they like basically defected from what they were, we're gonna say it like this, they defected from the cult mentality that they were grown up like believing in. And they were so loyal to their leader and their specific little coven of this big clan that they were willing to do anything for her to make sure she was able to do what she needed to do. And in that moment, it meant giving up their lives. And like, it was such a sweet moment on their part, but it was also one of like I said, one of the most heartbreaking parts in this story. I think that one might be right up there with that moment with Fenris. And like, I felt myself getting emotional while I'm thinking about it because I was just like, I knew it was coming even before Manon realized what was going on. I knew that it was coming up. So when she had said what she said before they actually did that, I was just like, what? I was just like, no, it's not gonna happen. It's not gonna happen. And then she like hits Manon so she can't go after her. And then she gets on her wyvern. Rest of them get on their wyverns and they like go off to do what needs to be done. And I was just like, I was actually crying. I did cry a few times in this book. Not as much as I thought I was going to. I feel like a lot of people just like, oh, I'm 20 pages in and I'm already bawling. And I was just like, it was kind of sad, but at the same time I was just like, obviously this is at the end, so it was upsetting. It was kind of sad, but it wasn't like the worst thing in the world. For the end of this, it was kind of left open-ended, where if the author wanted to revisit the series, she obviously could. I don't think there's going to be too much more conflict in the world, but there's always room for trouble. I am curious about a character though. If you guys remember Vaughn, I think or at least that's how I was pronouncing his name. He was a sixth member of the cadre. They had mentioned him being sent off as well when Gavriel and Fenris were sent off to find Lorcan. He was also sent off, and the only one that was left behind was Connell. He was sent off, but no one had seen him since he was sent off. They mentioned him at the end of this, I guess, so she could bring in the last character. Because I was wondering, I was just like, where is he at? I didn't understand why he wasn't like physically there. I mean, like, did he just decide he was going to avoid the war? I'm sure he knew it was coming, but no. Like, I don't know. I would be curious to see like a little novella that kind of gives a brief update on all of these characters and where they are, maybe like a few years after this. That is pretty much my thoughts, even though they were kind of all over the place. Hopefully I can pull this together. I feel like I missed some key points that I talked about in my wrap up, but I'm just gonna forget about that for now, and hopefully you guys will discuss with me so we can talk about this and what you thought about this and all of those things. But yeah, that's all I have for you guys for my Throne of Glass wrap up part 3, which was really a Kingdom of Ash review / discussion. I enjoyed it. It wasn't the best thing in the world. It was a decent finale to the series, but I feel like this could have been better. Leave me comments down below letting me know what you thought about this and different points that you want to bring up. Maybe some things that I might not have talked about, but that you really want to talk about, or one of your big things with this book. And yeah, if you haven't already, go check out my other videos where I wrap up the series or most of the series. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up. If you'd like to see more from me, make sure you subscribe. Starting next week, I will have my end of the month, beginning of the month videos, so make sure you go check those out. And yeah, I will see you guys again in the next one. Bye.